My son was kidnapped in a white van. He returned, but something is really wrong with him. My wife was in tears, watching him get ripped away into the van, knowing exactly what was going to happen to him next. But when he returned home, it was the worst day of my life. I wished he never came back. The day he went missing, we thought it would just be a normal school day. Jess dropped off our son John at school that morning, kissed his soft cheek like he likes, and reminded him to zip his jacket. But something was different. Jess was extremely late for a meeting, so instead of doing the usual drill where she walks him into the school, she dropped him off and waited in the car. She sat in the car with her cold fingers pressed against the vents for warmth and watched him walk across the empty yard to the school building. His hand reached the door to open it, and she smiled and drove away. I'd heard her tell it a dozen times. I believed her. I told the police my part too, hugging him and calling him buddy, giving him a glass of milk and telling him I'd help him with his homework tonight. Thinking everything was normal, we all went on with our day. John was at school. Jess was on her way to work. I was at home. That was our morning. But the evening is when something started to go wrong. John always rode the school bus home. He'd usually arrive home before we got home from work. Lida, our neighbor, would meet him and let him in the house and watch a show with him until I or Jess got home from work. She was great, but Lida called me at 3:45. John did not get off the bus. The school couldn't locate him. He hadn't made it to class. I called the police at 4:15 just moments after I left work. I was frantic. I met them at the house. Somewhere between Jess leaving after seeing his arm touch that door and actually entering the school, our sweet John had disappeared. The cameras from inside the school had never caught him in the hallway. The ones outside weren't working properly, so there was no telling where exactly, or he had disappeared. But he never opened those doors. He never walked into his classroom. Everyone in town came together. They searched sewers and alleyways. They scattered through locked backyard fences and tramped through fields and wooded areas in misty, cold weather. The police suspected us at first. It was all pretty normal. Everyone was a suspect. We repeated the sequence of events 100 times to 100 different people. We were quoted and misquoted. Our lives were upended and reputations tarnished. Everyone thought we did something to him. We were newer to the neighborhood, and they were sure we beat John. They were sure John was a good student and beloved by all in the neighborhood, even though he only had 2 friends I had ever met and had recently gotten in trouble for destroying a neighbor's garden. I guess the neighbor forgot about that. We went 2 weeks without any sign of him, until from out of nowhere, a soccer mom and her 13-year-old daughter spotted him in a field a couple of weeks later. He was covered in dirt and grim, but there wasn't even a scratch on him. They recognized his face and clothes from the TV. They said he was smiling, and when they asked him where he was going, he told them, home. They offered him a ride, but he said he would walk. He took the soda they offered, saying he was very thirsty. They called the police and followed him as he walked, crossing roads and yards as he moved towards home. He made it home at 3:15 p.m. that afternoon, 2 weeks later, exactly, with a caravan of cars and people following after him. Jess greeted him at the door. "Mommy," he said before wrapping his arms around her. We both cried in that moment, but I wasn't crying for the reason you might think. The TV called it a miracle. The police chief, who was convinced that I had buried my own son outside town, even half-heartedly apologized after John told him about the bad man in the truck who had swept in and taken him at the school door. John wasn't short on details. They had arrested someone fitting the description within an hour. Some unfortunately named man, Gil Farabee, who looked a bit too creepy for his own good. He would confess before we got home with John later that night. After statements were taken and the hospital had looked at John and deemed him fine, we took him home. It was nearly 2 a.m. when we pulled into the driveway coming home from the hospital. Jess and I sat there for a bit, waiting for him to speak. "I'm hungry," he said. Jess spoke first. "We are really glad you are back." "I'm hungry," John said again. "Okay, we will feed you," I said, moving to open the car door. "Mommy and Daddy," he said. I stopped moving. I think Jess stopped breathing. "Are you happy I came back?" Normal parents in this situation would be ecstatic that their lost son returned home, but I was devastated. I wanted him out of my life. You see, John isn't a normal kid. I never had a son with my wife. We had just gotten married when we found him alone. We lived in Harrington Beach then. We were in our 20s and carefree, and this kid comes up to our car as we are getting home at night. He says he is scared and hungry. We ask him about his parents and take him inside to warm him up. But once you take him in, once you let him in your home, you can't kick him out. He won't leave. We found that out. He doesn't have parents. He is perpetually 9 years old, never ages. I'm 45 and met him when I was 23. He won't let you leave either. He finds you and you take care of him until you die. Or he dies, but he never dies. We've tried to murder him so many times, but he just won't leave our life. My wife and I wouldn't mind having a kid around. We'd consider ourselves good parents. But the things John did were just disgusting. He doesn't eat normal food. So to get rid of him, we contacted an old friend, Gil. Gil had actually kidnapped John, with full intention of doing all the terrible things people like him do to kids. But he didn't know John. We didn't tell Gil the person John actually was. We had hoped that once Gil took him in, maybe John wouldn't return. He'd stay with Gil instead. But I guess John didn't care for him that much and decided he wanted us back. We had just thought it was some sort of luck, you know? Maybe he would take John far away and he'd stumble into someone else's life. You'll have to excuse that mentality, but we are tired, exhausted, and we are tired of feeding him. You see, Gil did murder a few kids before, states away, but he got blamed for the recent disappearances in that county, and it wasn't him. I am not defending him. He hurts kids. But the disappearances in this county, that was me and Jess. Well, John, but he is just 9 and can't feed himself. We don't actually hurt them. We just bring them to his room. You put them to sleep and you bring them to his room. He only wants children. We've tried to feed him undesirables or old people who look close to death. He will only eat children. We weren't allowed to watch him eat, but we heard it. There was never any mess, so Jess and I thought maybe he ate them whole like a snake does. Hell, I have offered up myself. What happens if we run? He follows. Everywhere. You can't get away from him. You'll be taking a shower in a shitty motel bathroom 9 states away, and he is there suddenly saying, "I'm hungry," over and over again until your ears bleed. Kill him? He doesn't die. We tried. He heals himself and gets right back up. Lock him in. He gets out. Say no? Well, you never say no to John. I lived a full year of his torment once when I told him no. Every single one of your worst nightmare, he knows. "I'm hungry," he said when we walked inside from the hospital. "Not today," Jess said. "It will draw too much attention. Tomorrow, I promise." John smiled and ran off to his room to play and sleep. "Good night, Mommy and Daddy," he yelled from upstairs. I really missed my room. Jess and I looked at each other and sat on the couch. Flipping on the TV, we saw a panel of experts break the news about John being found alive, and pictures of our happy family filled the screen. Everyone was so happy he was back. It was a miracle. "I'm pregnant," Jess said. My stomach churned. We never got to keep them. Jess had just formed John's lunch.